Cafe anyway. Yes.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Episode 2347, 2347. One of the greatest lessons you can learn.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
If you do a live radio show, here's what you should remember. If there's something in your life you want to be forever grateful to, remember this thing, and that is something that can sting you is that any microphone, treat it
Mike's Daily Podcast
like it's live, like it's hot. And don't say stuff that you would not want people to hear.
Mike's
is what I'm saying.
Daily
It's sort of like on the internet.
Podcast.
We were discussing this on a recent show.
Yeah!
That whatever you post on the internet can come back and bite you later in the future. As people... See, this is stuff we knew back in radio way back, because you would say stuff, it would come back to bite you. Now, like you'd record something, you didn't think it was going to get played on the air, and maybe somehow it accidentally got on the air. Or you're having a conversation, and that gets broadcasted live. It's with a caller. I think that happened once or twice. So, my point is that always treat a live microphone. Now, well, what does that mean? Isn't there a microphone in your smartphone and you walk around with a smartphone all day? Is that live? Do I have to worry about that too, Mike? I've got so much to worry about. Well, some would argue that Google, if you haven't one of those Android-based phones, Google's listening to whatever you say, and whenever you go like, I'll look for a YouTube video or search on Google, it instantly knows. Someone we know recently just had a baby. Congratulations to them. I don't think they listen to the podcast, but congratulations. And instantly, my lovely lady friend is looking online. It's showing her ads for baby products and stuff. And it's not her that had the baby, it was her friend.
And here's today's podcast picture.
So how did it know that? That's what I want to know. The podcast picture is going to be a nice little Christmas picture, either from last night or tonight. Last night I walked around Niles. That's in an area of Fremont. Fremont's a very big area. It's got a lot of little divisions, little towns, Irvington, Dale, something, and other places. And then there is Union City right next to it. And I was walking around there last night and saw some cool, nice Christmas decorated houses. So see that at mikesdailypodcast.com. Basil and I used to walk around many a well-lit, decorated tree. The late, great Basil the Boxer. And he liked to sniff. He would sometimes urinate on Christmas trees, I will admit. Not when they were like with the lights, but once they'd been discarded on the side of the road. He would sometimes go over and I'd go, Basil, don't do that. That's not a nice thing to do about Christmas. Anywho, thank you for listening to Mike's Daily Podcast. We're somewhere in Podcastro Valley, the last place on earth. Cafe, anyway, is where we are. And it's been an interesting couple of days. I'm not sure why exactly. There was something. It hasn't. I told you about the getting locked out of the house. We went through that whole story. That was the last podcast. The one called Chip. Because we talked about wood chippers. And how you'll take that Yule, after the Yule tide, you'll take that Christmas tree and throw it into the chipper. And make a nice, unless it's a fake tree, and if you do that, you'll destroy the chipper probably. But you'll make some nice mulch that can be used by somebody in the future. But how do you cut the cord and keep live TV? Might be a question you're asking. By the way, we watched a Garfield, speaking of streaming services, because we don't have live TV. Well, Comcast gives you this Flex box for free. Not to give them a plug. I'll give them a slug in a second. All right, they're too expensive sometimes. With certain products, they're dumb expensive. But with the thing, the Flex, it allows you to go to something called Tubi, Tubi, and there's some live TV on that. And it's interesting because the commercials you see on Tubi aren't exactly what you would see if you had cable. Because it's more of that geofencing where they target particularly where you are, and they've seen other things you search on Flex, so they know what to... It's just like the whole aforementioned Android phone system. Savvy consumers are cutting the cable cord and streamlining price points and on-demand content. But many viewers still want to access the shows airing in real time. Because once upon a time, that's all we did was watch the real-time stuff. Now, this podcast is not real time. I'm recording it in real time, and I don't do any editing because of the aforementioned thing about live mics. I'm a live mic talking on this microphone, and that any microphone could potentially be broadcasting something to the world, maybe that you don't want people to hear. So keep that in mind. But Hulu offers 2 live TV package options. There's Hulu Plus Live, because you can't put... Everybody is using the Plus, the Disney Plus, the... What? That other one. The other... Not Peacock. Is it CBS? CBS Plus? There's some other Plus. Discover Plus. There's a bunch of pluses. Now, Hulu's doing it. It's got ads and it's ad-free. And I remember, about 10 years ago, I had cut the cord. Actually, quite a few years ago, stopped watching cable TV. And I watched a lot of television shows on Hulu. And then Hulu became a subscription model, because that's when Hulu was free, was back then. But then you had to pay for it. As we go outside a cafe anyway, where we bring you Mike's Daily Podcast somewhere in Castro Valley. The last place on earth. So I would watch a lot of the shows that were popular, do the Jimmy Kimmel show. I was checking out when he took over after Conan left. Remember when Conan left to do the Tonight Show for about 6 months, and then everybody was, oh, he's terrible, bring back Jay Leno. And Conan's awesome. What are you talking about? And then so Jay Leno came back. Conan went off and wandered the woods. He became a nomad for a year. And then, of course, Jay Leno left and Jimmy Kimmel took over. But when Jimmy Kimmel first took over, it was because Conan left. And it was interesting to watch. I'm like, what's Jimmy Kimmel going to do? He's this guy on Saturday Night Live. What's he going to do on this show? And it was interesting in the fact that he brought Questlove and the Roots and all that. It's like, how's that going to work? And we don't have any other late-night band like this. This is pretty cool. Questlove is very interesting musician, what he does in his performances and the comedy and all that. So I watched Jimmy since he's done the Tonight Show a couple times, but I'm really not interested. So much so I couldn't even finish that sentence. I had to put a big pause for the applause in there. Where were we? Oh, so yeah, Hulu's got that thing. It includes full access to more than 75 live channels and Hulu's on-demand streaming content. CNET has called YouTube TV the best premium live TV streaming service. It offers 85 plus channels with unlimited DVR storage and access to YouTube originals. But not ad-free YouTube. For customized packages, there's Sling. Oh yeah, I think I caught some of that. Its orange and blue packages offer slightly different channel offerings and 50 DVR hours. You can combine them for 51 premium channels. Lower cost Sling rival Philo, and I've never used them, offers one plan with 60 plus channels and has some channels that Sling doesn't. DVR storage lasts for only 30 days though. Pluto TV, I've checked that out. It operates in its own engaging ecosystem with hundreds of ad-supported HD channels. These include Pluto's own, such as Pluto Fantastic, Romance and Terror, News, like CNN, CBS, and more, and many devoted to one show. From Three's Company to The Amazing Race. However, there is no DVR capability. Sports-friendly Fubo TV is similar to Sling. It has 3 packages from 116 to 162 channels and 250 to 1,000 cloud DVR hours. That's lots of recording. Are you the type, though, that does all that recording and doesn't watch any of it? Forgets about it? DirecTV Stream has 4 package tiers. They start with entertainment and spiral up to the posh premiere, which has premiums like HBO Max and Showtime. Cloud DVR totals 20 hours. And if you own a Roku streaming device, you can conveniently sync up all your live TV options through one device. Further, Roku offers numerous CBS News affiliate broadcasts from across America. And the Roku channel features a pretty decent selection of original programming, new and retro programs, and some live TV. If you already have a Roku, it offers a taste of live TV via streaming. And that is all from the Costco connection. I'll give them a plug. I guess that was kind of a plug because I read from their magazine. Now a slug. Why have you discontinued selling that canned coconut milk? That stuff was fantastic. It went in so many... I could make so many cool things with coconut milk. Heck, I'd even put it in my smoothies. Make them into these amazing shakes. Speaking of the amazing race, this was the amazing shake. But I'll shake that off. And enough of that. Hey, we're outside a cafe anyway, somewhere in Podcastro Valley. The last place on earth. You can chime in about anything we covered today at 336MM Daily. 3 plus 3 equals 6. MM is in Mike Matthews. Daily isn't what this podcast tries to do that and then occasionally gets interrupted. And then we have that thing called life that interrupts me from time to time. But I try my best. And you know what? I think once missing a day here and there is not a bad thing. Come on, show me a little leniency. Look who's here. Hello, Michael Matthews, Madame Rootabega. Yes, I show lots of leniency to you. Oh, I am so thankful that you do that and that you come on the podcast and speak those wonderful words that you do. Do you like being on the podcast? Yes. Do you like talking to me? Yes. Are you going to leave now? No. Oh. She's going to stick around for who we else talk to here. Hello there, Mike. This is Valentino, the parking attendant. And this is Bison Bentley. Do you know that? Mike, we are so glad that you are going to buy us all YouTube and Roku and Hulu and Ooh and Tubu and Nuhu-Hoo-Woo. Yeah, all of that. Do you know that? Yeah, there is so many bizarre names. If you're going to start a channel in any kind of streaming world, in any kind of streaming, you got to make it a bizarre word that sounds like it came from some far-off land. Almost all sounds like baby talk. Hulu, Roku, Tubi, Pluto. Doesn't it? Is it just me? Probably. Next show it'll be the wonderful Chely Shoehart, Floyd the Floorman, and John Deere the engineer. Chime in about anything we covered. 336MM Daily. 3 plus 3 equals 6. MM is in Mike Matthews. Daily isn't what this podcast. It pretty much is. If once in a while, just ignore that. Oh yeah, and we're also, speaking of YouTube, we are on YouTube. YouTube.com/Mike's Daily Podcast. I do a quick little short video clip for each, a little videoette for each podcast. So you can check that out. And with more, it's A-Frame. Oh, whoa. One quick plug, and no slug to this plug, because this was fantastic what I heard. May I please recommend a podcast by... I'm not a big fan of everything they do, but sometimes, oh my gosh, NPR. They do this podcast called Consider This. And the one that came out this week, I think it was this week or last week, the topic is how getting vaccinated has become so politicized, and that the truth is 6 conservative political talk show hosts, 6 or 7 now, have died of COVID, and they were not vaccinated, and they talked on the air often about how you should not get vaxxed, and they were anti-vaxxers. One guy did this song called the Vax Man. He did it to the sound of the Beatles. Did an excellent job. It sounded just like the Beatles. I was really impressed. But he died. He got COVID and he died. And his brother got on NPR and implored people that were listening that used to be fans of his brother, do get the vaccine. Don't treat this so nonchalantly, and don't do get into the whole conspiracy theory about the liberal media wants to get you all vaccinated so they can have these tiny little microbes, these micro robotics in your system. They have all kinds of crazy theories like that. He said, don't do my brother, and his brother was still alive at this point, and he said, my brother, when he gets better, he'll talk more about this on the radio. Well, he didn't. And, it's playing with people's lives, and the fact that so many people on the right are hoping to have a big win in 2022 in the midterm elections. And the big divisive, they grab onto the divisive topics. And of course, what's the biggest one right now? And so they're going to try to make this an issue that the government shouldn't force me to get vaccinated. Well, okay, everybody needs... Yes, so they don't say exactly that. They tie it all up in the civil liberty, not in civil liberty, but people have their own rights, and they can choose to decide to do this or that. And it really reminds me of teenagers and kids. Like, you tell your kid, eat your broccoli. I don't want to. It's disgusting. No, look, it's good. Look. I'm eating it. It looks good. Or, you fool the kids somehow to get them to eat the broccoli. It's good for them. Instead, they want to eat nothing but Skittles or whatever all day, and ice cream. But you tell them that you trick them to eat the broccoli. Is that what's going to happen? Is that what Republicans are right now? Are petulant teenagers saying, I don't want it? I don't know. But it is. So as a parent, are you saying, well, I guess my teenager has a right to not eat broccoli and get really overweight and get all kinds of obesity related diseases because I didn't teach him or her these habits of eating healthy early on? Anyway, food for thought, broccoli for thought. But check out that podcast. It's very fascinating. And how there are people on the right, behind the scenes, gearing up with the campaign, trying to see ahead to the big election that want, very much to win. And they will put people's lives in jeopardy. They will kill people to do it. They will tell them, no, don't get the shot. And then those people they are the very ones who should get vaccinated. And because they want these people behind the scenes want their vote. It's just disgusting. Oh, yes, probably the left has their own version of that. But I hate politics. I don't want to talk anymore about it. I don't like putting politics into the podcast, but I found it fascinating. So maybe listen to that other podcast that had some politics in it and see what you think about it. There you go. Now, do we want to talk about if the elections were fraud or not? No, I think I'll stop right here. And now we go to A-Frame.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at mikesdailypodcast.com. Email Mike now at mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye!